Babies hold their gaze on you longer than expected. Animals pause, turn, and keep watching as if something about you feels different. This kind of attention does not happen to everyone, and when it does, it leaves a strange question behind. Something is being picked up, something silent yet powerful, and it goes far beyond simple curiosity. It feels almost as if there is a signal being recognized, a presence that stands out in a way that words cannot explain. This video uncovers the hidden reason behind that reaction. You will learn why certain people naturally draw the attention of babies and animals, and how this connects to a deeper layer of human behavior and emotional awareness. There is a subtle form of communication happening beneath the surface, shaped by energy, body language, and the nervous system. Science has already shown that humans constantly send microsignals through posture, facial expression, and internal emotional states. Babies and animals, untouched by social conditioning, respond to these signals in their purest form. They do not rely on spoken language or learned judgment. They react to what feels safe, calm, and real. As this unfolds, a lesser-known truth begins to emerge. Empaths, people who are highly sensitive to emotions, often carry a different kind of presence. Their awareness creates a quieter, more open energy that stands apart from the tension most people carry without realizing it. This difference can be detected instantly by those who rely on instinct rather than logic. That is why a baby might stare with quiet focus, or an animal might stop and observe without fear. These reactions are not random moments. They are responses to something authentic. By the end of this video, you will understand what is really being seen in those moments, why this attention happens, and what it reveals about the way others experience your presence. You will begin to see these interactions in a completely new way, recognizing that they hold more meaning than they first appear. There is a reason behind every silent stare, and once you understand it, these small encounters will feel far more significant. Welcome to our channel, where hidden patterns and human behavior are explored in ways that challenge the surface-level view. Subscribe and stay connected for more insights that reveal what often goes unnoticed. There is a quiet pattern behind these moments, something that does not happen by chance. Certain people seem to draw this kind of attention again and again, as if they carry a signal others do not. It shows up in small, almost unnoticeable ways. A baby becomes still and focused. An animal shifts its behavior and stays alert yet calm. These reactions point towards something deeper than surface-level interaction. They hint at a layer of perception that works beneath words, beneath conscious thought. This is where empaths begin to stand out. Their presence often feels different, even when they are doing nothing at all. It is subtle, almost invisible, yet it creates a distinct response in those who are sensitive enough to pick it up. Babies and animals do not rely on social rules or learned expectations. They respond directly to what they sense. There is no filter, no overthinking, no need to interpret or label. That raw awareness allows them to notice signals that most adults overlook completely. Over time, many people lose touch with this kind of perception. Life adds layers of distraction, pressure, and emotional noise. Attention shifts toward words, appearances, and surface-level meaning. The ability to sense deeper emotional currents becomes weaker, pushed aside by logic and routine. Yet it never fully disappears. It remains present in those who have not learned to block it out, especially in the very young and in animals who depend on instinct for survival. What draws their attention is not something loud or obvious. It is something quiet, steady, and consistent. A form of communication that does not need to be explained to be understood. It exists in the way someone holds themselves, in the tension or ease within their body, in the emotional signals that move without being seen. Empaths often carry a level of awareness that changes these signals in subtle ways, creating a presence that feels different from the norm. There is more happening in these moments than it first appears. A simple glance or a brief pause can carry meaning that goes far beyond what is visible. Once this deeper layer becomes clear, these interactions begin to take on a new weight, revealing something that has always been there, quietly waiting to be noticed. An empath does more than feel emotions on a deeper level. There is a presence that surrounds them, something steady and hard to describe, yet easy to sense. It shows up in the way they carry themselves, in the way their attention feels when they are around others. This presence often comes across as calm, open, and aware, even during moments of tension. Some people refer to it as an aura, a kind of energy field that reflects what is happening inside, though it is not something that can be measured or seen in a direct way. This presence is shaped by emotional awareness. Empaths tend to process feelings more deeply, which affects their body language, their tone, and even their stillness. Instead of reacting quickly or masking what they feel, there is often a quieter rhythm in how they exist. That quietness creates space, and that space can be sensed by others without a single word being spoken. It is not about appearing calm on the surface, but about carrying a certain level of inner openness that naturally comes through. It is important to understand that this is not something visible to the eyes. There is no color or shape that can be pointed out or defined. It works more like a feeling that moves between people, something picked up through instinct rather than thought. Many interactions between humans already depend on this kind of unspoken exchange. A room can feel tense or relaxed without anyone explaining why. A person can seem trustworthy or distant within seconds of meeting them. These impressions are formed through subtle signals that go beyond what is consciously noticed. Empaths often give off signals that feel different from the average person. Their awareness changes the way those signals are expressed, making their presence feel softer or more grounded. This does not mean it is always understood by everyone. In many cases, it goes completely unnoticed by people who rely more on logic or surface-level cues. Yet there are beings who remain highly sensitive to these signals, who pick them up without effort. That sensitivity allows certain reactions to take place almost instantly. It explains why some individuals receive attention that seems unusual or unexpected, as if something deeper has been recognized without needing to be explained. Animals respond to the world through instinct in a way that is even more refined. Their survival depends on it, so their awareness stays closely tied to signals that reveal safety or danger. Words hold no meaning for them, and outward appearance carries little weight. What matters is the energy behind movement, the tone behind stillness, and the intention that flows through every small action. This creates a form of perception that is direct and immediate, without the layers of interpretation that humans often rely on. When an animal reacts to a person, the response is shaped by what it senses beneath the surface. Tension in the body can signal unease. Sudden or unpredictable movements can signal threat. Even subtle changes in breathing or posture can influence how an animal decides to approach or withdraw. Fear, confidence, calmness, and agitation all exist as signals that move without words, and animals are highly tuned to pick up on each one. This sensitivity allows them to make quick decisions about whether to stay, observe, or move away. Empaths often give off a different set of signals within this silent exchange. Their awareness of emotions tends to reduce the amount of hidden tension they carry, even if only slightly. There is often less internal conflict being projected outward, which can translate into a steadier presence. This does not mean they are always calm, but their sensitivity creates a kind of openness that softens the signals animals are watching for. The absence of sharp or conflicting cues can make their presence feel easier to read. That difference can cause an animal to pause. Instead of reacting with caution or avoidance, there is a moment of stillness, a shift into observation. The animal remains aware, yet it does not immediately move away. This pause carries a sense of curiosity rather than fear, as if something unfamiliar has been detected but does not feel threatening. It creates a brief connection where both sides are present without pressure. These reactions can seem small, yet they reveal how deeply animals rely on instinct to navigate their surroundings. Every movement and every pause is part of a continuous reading of the environment, shaped by signals that often go unnoticed by human awareness. Human interaction is shaped by a constant stream of micro-signals that move beneath conscious awareness. Every small shift in posture, every change in tone, and even the rhythm of breathing sends information outward. The nervous system plays a central role in this process, adjusting the body in response to internal states and external surroundings. These adjustments happen automatically, creating patterns that others can pick up without any direct effort. A person may appear calm on the surface, yet subtle signals can still reveal tension or unease through tight movements, guarded posture, or a slight change in voice. Babies and animals are especially sensitive to these signals because their perception is less filtered. Their attention is not divided by complex thoughts or social expectations, allowing them to stay focused on what is happening in the present moment. This makes their awareness sharper when it comes to detecting shifts in energy and behavior. They respond to the overall feeling created by these microsignals rather than trying to interpret specific actions. This is why their reactions can seem immediate and precise, even without any obvious reason. Empaths often interact with these signals in a different way. Their heightened emotional awareness can lead to a deeper connection with their own internal state. This does not always mean they are perfectly calm, but it can create moments of greater regulation where their body and mind are more aligned. When this alignment happens, the signals they give off become more consistent and easier to read. There is less conflict between what is felt inside and what is expressed outwardly, which changes how their presence is experienced. This shift in internal awareness naturally affects external communication. Body language may appear more relaxed, tone may feel steadier, and movements may carry less abrupt tension. These small differences add up, forming a pattern that stands apart from the usual mix of mixed or conflicting signals. Babies and animals already tuned into these patterns can pick up on the change without effort. The result is a quiet exchange that happens below the level of words. It is shaped by biology, behavior, and emotional awareness, all working together in ways that often remain unnoticed in everyday interactions. At a deeper level, this pattern does not come from being rare or extraordinary in a dramatic sense. It comes from something much quieter, something that often goes unnoticed in a world that rewards control and distance. Openness plays a central role here. It shows up as a willingness to remain aware, to stay connected to emotions instead of pushing them away. This kind of openness is not always easy to maintain, especially over time. Life has a way of shaping people in ways that encourage them to close off. Stress builds slowly, creating tension that settles into the body. Pain leaves marks that influence how a person reacts to future situations. Experiences, both small and large, begin to form patterns of protection. These patterns can lead to guarded behavior where emotional expression becomes limited and interactions become more controlled. Over time, this creates a layer between the inner world and the outside environment, making it harder for others to sense what is truly present. Empaths often move through this process differently. Their sensitivity keeps them more connected to emotional shifts both within themselves and around them. This connection can feel overwhelming at times, yet it also prevents a complete shutdown. Instead of fully closing off, there is often a partial openness that remains even after difficult experiences. This openness allows emotions to be processed rather than completely hidden, which influences how their presence is expressed. This difference becomes noticeable in subtle ways. There may be a softness in their reactions, a certain level of patience in how they respond to others, or a quiet awareness that shapes their behavior. These qualities are not always recognized by people who rely on surface-level interaction, yet they exist clearly within the signals that are constantly being shared beneath words. Sensitivity, in this sense, carries its own form of clarity. It allows for a kind of presence that feels steady without needing to be controlled. Those who rely on instinct, especially in early stages of development or in the natural world, tend to respond to this clarity without hesitation. Their reactions reflect a recognition that does not need explanation, guided by a form of awareness that remains untouched by learned filters. The way these moments are seen can begin to shift once more attention is given to them. A baby holding eye contact or an animal watching closely can feel like a small passing detail, something easy to ignore or forget within seconds, yet there is more happening in that brief exchange than most people realize. The reaction comes from a place that does not rely on surface-level thinking, which makes it easy to overlook in a world that moves quickly and values obvious signals over subtle ones. When these situations happen, the natural response is often to brush them aside, to treat them as random or meaningless. Attention moves on, and the moment fades without a second thought. This creates a pattern where small, honest reactions are missed simply because they do not demand explanation. They exist quietly, without asking to be understood, and that quietness makes them easy to dismiss. Yet the absence of noise does not mean the absence of meaning. Looking at these interactions from a different angle begins to reveal something deeper. A steady gaze from a baby or a calm pause from an animal reflects a kind of response that has not been shaped by expectation or habit. There is no attempt to impress, no reason to perform, and no pressure to interpret. The reaction forms instantly based on what is felt in that exact moment. This creates a level of honesty that is rarely present in everyday human interaction, where responses are often filtered through layers of thought and intention. These moments can carry a quiet form of feedback, offering a glimpse into how a presence is being experienced without words. The stillness in an animal or the focus in a baby can point toward a sense of ease or curiosity that does not need to be explained. It is a reflection that happens naturally without effort from either side. Paying attention to this kind of response changes how it is perceived. Instead of passing by unnoticed, it begins to stand out as something worth observing. The simplicity of the reaction becomes more meaningful, revealing a layer of interaction that exists beyond conversation or visible behavior, shaped entirely by instinct and presence. Beings that have not learned to pretend respond in a way that feels direct and unfiltered. Their reactions are not shaped by status, appearance, or social roles. There is no attention given to masks or carefully controlled expressions. What reaches them is something much deeper, something that exists beneath all of that. Their focus moves toward what feels genuine, toward signals that carry clarity instead of confusion. This is why their responses can seem so precise, even in silence. They do not react to titles or outer identity. They do not measure worth through surface-level traits. What matters is the presence that comes through without effort, the emotional signals that are carried in stillness, in tone, and in awareness. This creates a form of connection that does not rely on explanation. It happens instantly, guided by instinct and a kind of perception that remains untouched by conditioning. There is a certain honesty in that kind of response. It reflects something real, something that often goes unnoticed in everyday interactions. When a baby holds a steady gaze or an animal pauses with quiet attention, it is not random behavior. It is a reaction shaped by what is being sensed in that exact moment. That reaction does not need approval or validation. It exists as it is, clear and immediate. And within that moment, there can be something more, a reflection of a part that has not been shaped by pressure or expectation, a part that remains open, even in a world that often encourages distance. That quiet recognition can pass quickly, yet it carries meaning that stays long after the moment is gone. It points toward something that still exists beneath everything else, something that has not been lost. There is a possibility that what is being seen in those brief interactions is a side that rarely receives attention, a presence that remains steady even when life becomes complicated, something that does not need to prove itself to be real. And in that sense, those silent moments begin to carry a different weight, revealing more than they first appear. Have you ever experienced this? A baby or an animal holding eye contact with you in a way that feels different from usual? Share your experience in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to the channel to stay connected for more insights like this, because moments like these are rarely random.